Welcome to the San Angelo Independent School District Convocation, which officially begins the 2014-2015 school year. I'm Breland Daniels. Several great students will be helping Dr. Bonds host Convocation today. Let me introduce Chris Hirschfield, Andrea Perez, and Jared Trubenstein.
The following groups will lead our opening ceremony. The colors will be posted by the combined JROTCs from Central and Lakeview High School, who are Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Perez, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel David Torres, Cadet Captain Tiffany Williams, and Cadet Major Levi Jackson.
Their leaders are Major Christopher Carney, Major Regina Harris, Chief Master Sergeant Kathleen Prince, Master Sergeant Kyle Mantell, Master Sergeant George Marquez, and Master Sergeant Edwin Berenguer.
The national anthem will be performed by the combined bands, choirs, and orchestras of Lakeview and Central High School under the direction of Cindy Costello, Lance Mosley, Elgin Gregg, Andrea Martinez, and Rosendo Ramos from Lakeview and Lincoln, Joey Ashbrook, Mike Berry, Sarah Clark, David Phillips, Landon Gilmore, Sunday Bullock, George Clark, David Heath, Adam Chappell, Kristen Ellis, and Julie Hamill from Central Glen Endley.
The U.S. Pledge will be led by Anna Schneeman, the President of the Student Council at Central High School. The Texas Pledge will be led by Shay Pena, President of the Student Council at Lakeview High School.
The invocation will be led by Chaplain Matt Henry from Goodfellow Air Force Base.
Please stand and remain standing for the posting of the colors, our national anthem, the pledges to our flags, and for the invocation.
remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Would you join me as I pray? Almighty God, as we join together this morning, we thank you for answering our prayers and once again watering this land with rain. We come together today to be encouraged, inspired, and focus on our pursuit towards excellence. As we gather this morning, I take these moments to pray for the faculty, staff, administration, and student body. For the faculty, I ask that you would fill them with wisdom and understanding so that they may fulfill their goal to provide each student with a meaningful, challenging education within a safe learning atmosphere. I pray that they would be filled with fresh creativity, that they would enable each student to reach the highest level of achievement. For the staff, whether they work in a kitchen, on a custodial team, maintenance, a nursing staff, or another team, I ask that you would help them not lose sight of their place in the bigger picture. I ask that you would motivate them to excellence in all they do, so that they would be part of providing an environment that is safe, secure, and supportive as they serve those around them. For the administration, as they are called to maintain the utmost fiscal responsibility, may they walk wisely. I ask that each person would remember and recall their mission and vision statements, as well as their annual goals, and would inspire those around them to serve, that they serve, to reach beyond the comfort zone to new places. And for the student body that is represented by each person here, I ask that these students would be prepared for the challenge of a new level of learning. I pray that they would have the support they need from home, in the classroom, and from the staff that serves them. As we walk alongside these students today, may they learn and grow from us in both the formal and informal moments. May they be surrounded by examples of excellence, that they would be motivated to strive to new heights so that the world might be changed by this little West Texas town of San Angelo. Thank you again for what you are about to do this school year. Amen.
You may be seated.
We are going to celebrate our success, get our hearts blessed by the talents of SAISD students, and be inspired by a man who lives with a challenging disability.
It is with deep gratitude for our working relationship that I introduce my teammates, the school board of SAISD. Board President Lanny Lehman, Vice President Max Parker, Treasurer Tim Archer, members Art Hernandez, Bill Dindal, and Amy Mizell Flint. Mr. Gallegos was unable to be with us today.
Sitting with the board are Assistant Superintendents Dr. Jeff Bright, Shelley Houlihan, and Dr. Carl Detloff.
Dr. Bonds, aren't we blessed to have Goodfellow Air Force Base in San Angelo? It's wonderful to have approximately 1,015 of our classmates who have parents serving and working at Goodfellow.
We are honored to have leaders and our friends from Goodfellow Air Force Base.
Colonel Terry Hamrick, Vice Commander, 17th Wing, Training Wing.
Colonel Michael Grunwald, Commander, 17th Training Group.
Colonel Kelly Klein, Commander, 17th Medical Group.
Lieutenant Colonel Greg Skugel, Deputy Commander, 17th Mission Support Group, and Goodfellow Liaison to our SAISD School Board.
Major Scott Starr from the Army 344th Military Intelligence Battalion.
First Sergeant Thea Ray from the 344th Military Intelligence Battalion.
Navy Lieutenant Commander Cornell Woods.
Navy Master Chief Petty Officer Michelle O'Grady.
Chaplain Captain Matt Henry of the 17th Training Wing.
Major Devin Ruhlman, Commanding Officer of the Marine Corps.
Master Gunnery Sergeant Jamie Close from the U.S. Marine Corps Detachment.
Our champion student musicians would like to play the Armed Forces Salute in honor of our military.
Thank you, military friends, for your unselfish service to our country, for the thousands of volunteer hours your servicemen and women give to our schools and our city, and for making San Angelo and our world a better place because of your presence.
We take very seriously the honor you have given us to guide the young minds of your children and the active duty military you represent. We will love them as our own as we facilitate their learning.
Our district has hundreds of talented young people. The combined orchestras, bands, and choirs of Lakeview and Central High Schools will inspire us by playing Eternal Father, Strong to Save, and God Bless America.
Whose orders are known as
Dr. Bonds, aren't we all incredibly proud of these students? We thank you for this beautiful musical performance. There is no doubt that the adults in our school district are committed to support and encourage you.
Some of our students will be returning to their campuses to prepare for their first performance.
While our students and platform guests are moving to their front row seats or slipping out, that would be now, ladies and gentlemen. It's my one time to boss them. I want to take a minute for our audience to get to know these 4 students up here. Well, the 4th one will be here soon because she's been singing. Because you, the audience, has invested in their lives. You've transported them. You've cooked nutritious meals for them. You've kept their schools and grounds beautiful and clean. You've quickly fixed the technology for their learning. You've counseled them. You've nursed them. You've provided extra instruction where needed to promote their successes. All 4 of these youngsters have 9 more months with us. They're all going to graduate, and I couldn't be prouder, as I know you are. Breland Daniels, Breland, where do you think you're going to go to college, and what do you think you want to be after college?
I plan on studying biochemistry at the University of Texas in San Antonio and hopefully owning my own clinic and studying immunology.
Nice, Breland. Chris Hirschfeld, I hear you might think you want to be a Baylor Bear.
I actually know I want to be a Baylor Bear. I plan on double majoring in history and English, and then pursuing that and teaching possibly on the collegiate level.
Nice, Chris. Jared Trubenstein, aren't we proud of all? Jared, I heard you might be headed possibly to that Texas Tech school.
That is indeed true, Dr. Bonds. I wanted to major in chemical engineering at Texas Tech University, but I do have a dream of being recruited for any NCAA team for soccer and then probably pursuing that and becoming professionally.
You know, UT has a soccer team. Don't they, Mr. Parker? No, they don't.
I don't like that orange.
Okay, then Texas Tech. Andrea Pettis.
Yes.
Yep. And is it true you think about being one of those Baylor Bears?
Yes, I plan on majoring in speech pathology and the theater arts, because I love working with children, and yes.
Okay, well, we couldn't be prouder, could we? It's also important for us to thank a marvelous team that has assisted in the organization of this great day. Pam Blair, Marta Turney, Jamie Highsmith, Jack Wilcox, Barbara Carter, Heck Knudsen, Laura Ems, Margie Lyon, Sandra Pascal, students Nick Sanchez, Chris Combs, Jaden Woodard, Maverick Kincannon, Aaron Grimes, Isaac Wynn, Zachary Deanda, Tanner Woods, Ryan Prince, and the Lakeview and Central ROTC and cheerleaders, and our great transportation and maintenance department. Thank you all so much. I'm incredibly fortunate to work daily on a team of passionate, overly creative assistant soups. You know what I'm fixing to say. The surprise part of the program that I have nothing to do with is coming up. They truly, all kidding aside, nudge me every day to aim high and keep our young people and children first and our focus.
I have noticed, Dr. Bonds, that you seem to particularly enjoy people of all ages that have a large dose of spunk, especially if it is channeled in healthy and appropriate ways.
Healthy and appropriate.
Healthy and appropriate. I believe the 3 SAISD assistant superintendents will use their creativity to lead us in a celebration of SAISD successes. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Dr. Jeff Bright, Shelley Houlihan, and Dr. Carl Detloff, the 3 cheerleaders of SAISD.
Thank you, Dr. Bonds. Thank you, students. How impressive that we have such musical talent in our city, as well as scholars. Very impressive. It's great to be here with our school district family this morning. We've all had a week of learning, collaboration, and renewal as we prepare to trailblaze the path for the 2014-2015 academic year. Well, it's that time again, and it will be appropriate and healthy. It's always an honor to introduce our campuses, departments, and welcome community members and friends from Goodfellow Air Force Base. We again thank our military and armed forces for providing us the freedom to provide a quality education in our city. Thank you for that. Well, we enjoy recognizing and celebrating our staff, and this year we thought we would highlight the positive impact each and every one of you will make on a student this year. That's each and every one of you. SAISD, the power of one. You received your superpower bracelet this morning when you walked into the Coliseum. The logo and phrase on our bracelets serve as a constant reminder that one person, no matter what position you hold, can make a huge difference in the life of a student. It also serves as a symbol that together as one team, we will lead our students to success in college, the workforce, and in other endeavors, and be contributing members of our society and city. Like the sign says in your area where you are seated, one team, one goal, one herd, working together in the pursuit of excellence. And you may ask yourself, why does it say one herd? We just thought being smack dab in the middle of the very arena where our San Angelo Livestock Show and Rodeo occurs, that provides us the chance to lasso some of that cowboy and cowgirl spirit of West Texas and apply it in our classrooms. That grit, determination, and can-do attitude is contagious. The cattle drives of our Texas history remind us of the importance of keeping the herd together for a common cause. Although you'll see a slight twist on the cattle drive we're about to show you, I believe you will agree that when all of our community works together, anything is possible. You'll also see many familiar faces in this short video clip, so watch carefully and pay attention. Some of our toughest wranglers will tell the story of how working together and overcoming adversity helped them move the herd to greener pastures. In fact, you will hear a familiar voice of one of our 30-year SAISD trail bosses narrate this documentary. And just in case you miss it the first time, we will show this documentary again at the conclusion of our convocation today. So sit back, relax, kick off your boots, and enjoy the show. And remember, in a sense, this is what we do. We bring our community together to make our students successful. SAISD, the power of one. One team, one goal, one herd. Let's hit the lights.
At this point, zip it.
That man right there, he's my great-grandfather, first cat herder in our family.
Herding cats? Don't let anybody tell you it's easy.
Anyone can herd cattle, holding together 10,000 half-wild shorthairs. Now that's another thing altogether.
Being a cat herder is probably the toughest thing I've ever done.
I got this one right here this morning. But if you look at his face, it's just ripped to shreds, you know?
You see the movies, you hear the stories, I'm living a dream. Not everyone can do what we do.
I wouldn't do nothing else.
It ain't an easy job, but when you bring a herd into town and you ain't lost a one of them, ain't a feeling like it in the world. SAISD, the power of one. One team, one goal, one herd.
Now that was something else. Well now, fellow wranglers, this is a remarkable turn of events, and it seems to happen every year. During the show, I just received word that we actually have two of the original buckaroos that rode in the early days of San Angelo ISD. They just arrived to the arena in their chuck wagon. Now, it's only fitting that we give them a real West Texas welcome. But before we bring them in, there's not a better way to do that, give them a good welcome, than a country and western song. I think I need Misbehavin', Monty Althouse, and Wild Bill Waters. Come on out and help me with this.
Though the streams are swollen, keep them doggies rolling hard.
Rain and wind and weather held them all together, wishing my gal was by my side.
All the things I'm missing, good victuals, love and kissing, are waiting at the end of my ride.
Move them all.
Get 'em up!
Get 'em up.
Move 'em all!
Move them all.
Ride 'em up, rawhide!
Count 'em out.
Move 'em out!
Ride 'em in.
Ride 'em in!
Cut 'em out.
Ride 'em in, rawhide! Keep moving, 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 though they're disapproving. Keep them doggies moving, rawhide!
Don't try to understand them. Just roll high and random. Soon we'll be living high and wide.
My heart's calculating, my true love will be waiting at the end of my ride.
Move 'em on.
Ride 'em in! Move 'em out!
Move 'em out.
Ride 'em in, rawhide!
Cut 'em out.
Put 'em in!
Cut 'em in.
Cut 'em out!
Cut 'em out. Cut 'em out.
Ride 'em in, rawhide! Ha!
Well, it looks like, sure enough, there's the chuck wagon. And some familiar faces from that video clip. And it looks like on the flank, we've got Cactus Shelley. She is something else, let me tell you. Prickly as a pear. Looks like on the other side, we got Mad Dog Bright. So mean, he once cut the school district budget in half just for fun. Come on up here, Mad Dog, Cactus Shelley.
Mad Dog, that was one of the wildest trails we've been on. I'm sure glad we got this herd in here. Rope that cat, Mad Dog.
Woo! Wasn't that some purty singing there, boys?
Woo! Best I've heard in a long time. Why do you think it was purty singing?
Well, there for a minute, I thought I was in heaven with the angels.
What'd you think you were in heaven with angels for?
Because everybody in the audience was going, oh my God.
Woo! Hey, Mad Dog, we brought this herd in. Let's go ahead and start introducing this herd.
All right, here we go. The first group we're going to recognize today, these 160 men and women served over 3 million meals last year. Let's give it up for the Child Nutrition Department.
Our next group is from Sam Houston, the Special Ed Department. Let's give a big howdy to Special Ed.
And here's another group of some of my favorite people. Give it up for our friends in technology.
Working hard behind the scenes, bringing all this cattle in. Okay, cats, let's give it up for administration.
Here's a special one back over here in the back corner. These guys would work 24 hours a day to get our campuses ready to go next Monday. Give it up for grounds, maintenance, and custodial.
Taking time to serve the needs of 15,000 students. Let's hear it for the nurses of SAISD.
This next group, they really understand the meaning of rolling, rolling, rolling. Give it up for transportation.
Let's give a big country cowboy hello to Carver Learning Center. And from babies to diapers, let's also hear it for the tiny Texans.
Now let's hit some of the campuses here. This right here is one big herd of cats. Give it up for Central High School.
There is talking about doing something, and then there's just doing it. Let's say good morning to the Green Mean from Raiderland, Glen Middle School.
Now here we're back over here on this side. Let's give it up for the Rebels from Lee Middle School.
Courage is being scared to death to get in the saddle, but doing it anyway. Let's give a warm welcome to Lincoln Middle School.
We learned something new today, led by the singing cowboy himself, Lakeview High School.
If you climb in that saddle, you better be ready to ride. Let's hear it for Pays, the strong staff of 3.
Hey, if you ever need a hug early in the morning, these guys will give it to you. Give it up for Rio Vista, Blackshear, and Day Head Start.
I thought thought you were singing E-I-E-I-O. Making a great start to a high school career, let's give a hand for Central Freshman Campus.
This next group is boiling with excitement. Give it up for the staff at Altaloma.
Right next to Altaloma, we have a staff that's bursting with knowledge. Let's hear it for Austin Elementary.
Here's another great school. I feel the power. I feel the power. You feel the power, Cactus? I feel the power of the Bowie Patriots.
Mad Dog, I want to give a big yeehaw to the staff of Bonham Elementary. I don't know where they... I think this is yours, Mad Dog, but I have your back anytime you want me to. Let's feel the power of the, and I don't have my glasses on so I can't read it. It's in a lighter color. I just can't read. Rollin', 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 rollin'. All right, well that's okay. Let me go on to the next one, because Mad Dog, he's been on the trail too long. Okay, let's hear it for the Rockin' Lobos of Bradford Elementary, right over there. And then let's go ahead and put our hands together for Crockett Elementary.
All the things I'm missing.
Good, Cactus.
Woo! Sometimes it is hard getting your back.
Let me take one from you. This group here, there's a new sheriff in town, and I heard she's a meanin'. Give it up for We Are Fannin.
Cactus Jack? No, you're Mad Dog. Ooh, sometimes y'all start to look alike. Let's hear it for Fort Concho Superheroes. Where are they?
Don't try to understand them, just rope, throw, and random.
These people are wild about learning. Let's give it up for Glenmore Elementary.
Mad Dog, I have another school that's wild about learning. In the land of the wild, let's give it up for Goliad Elementary.
And in this group right here, the Panthers are definitely on the prowl. Give it up for our friends from Holloman.
Believe or achieve. Let's give it up for Lamar Elementary.
Still you, Cactus.
Okay, here we go. Get on board and take a ride with the Mustang Pride. Let's hear it from McGill Elementary.
And this next school has a special place in my heart because your new principal was my student in the 8th grade. Give it up for Reagan Elementary. And next, we are going to recognize another group of warriors here. Give it up for San Jacinto Elementary.
Mad Dog, I hear we have a campus that makes learning for life a standard. Let's give it up for Santa Rita Elementary. And Mad Dog, I think you missed one of your campuses.
I'm glad we put these in alphabetical order. Because our last group here are our good friends from Bel Air Elementary. Dr. Bonds, Dr. Dedloff, it's all back to you. You guys have a great school year.
We'll see you next year out on the trail. Come visit us.
back up, Dr.
Living with Tourette syndrome can be a challenge, but our speaker, Brad Cohen, believes he has overcome his disability by living life to its fullest.
Mr. Cohen wrote a book, Front of the Class, How Tourette Syndrome Made Me the Teacher I Never Had, was made into a Hallmark Hall of Fame movie about his experience as a child and young person with Tourette's.
He has been a highly respected teacher for 14 years and is currently the assistant principal in Cobb County, Georgia.
One of Mr. Cohen's biggest honors was the Sally Mae First Year Teacher of the Year Award for the state of Georgia.
Mr. Cohen has been featured on Oprah, Inside Edition, People Magazine, and CNN. He is going to share with us how all it takes is one person to believe in a child in order for them to be successful.
Before Mr. Cohen comes to the stage, please focus on the screen. We're going to show a brief video clip from the movie made about his life. And I have to tell you, I had picked my scene and this morning that was my favorite, and this morning come to find out it was his as well. That's pretty cool, Mr. Cohen, that you are thinking like me. Okay, we're going to watch this clip and then we will welcome you to our stage. We are so proud to have you in this great city.
I guess you've been pretty busy with the job hunt. Any luck?
Still interviewing.
How's that going? Are they giving you any trouble with your,
You can say the word, Dad. Tourette's. Some of them are, some of them aren't.
How's your money holding out?
I'm not asking you for money.
I know that. You never asked me for anything.
No.
But if you ever do get short, you know you got a job with me.
I'm gonna teach, Dad. Drop! Okay? I can't let anything get in the way of that.
Okay. I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with keeping your options open in case things don't work out. You know, there are other things besides teaching.
Not for me. Dad could never understand my optimism. Like when I graduated to middle school, I was really hopeful things would be different.
What's the matter, Brad? Eating alone?
Make a fresh start. New school. New friends. Same result.
Today we're going to be talking about fractions. Fractions are your friend. Use fractions in everyday life. You just don't realize it. For example, say your mother bakes a pie. She cuts the... Cohen, just go to the principal's office.
Not the best way to introduce myself to the principal.
What do you think a school's for, Brad?
What? Drop! Sorry, I keep disrupting the
You're
class.
not answering my question. What's a school for? To educate, isn't it?
What? Drop!
To use knowledge to wipe out ignorance. School's orchestra's having a concert this afternoon. You planning on going?
No, sir. My tics will ruin the music.
I want you to be there. Everybody just keep your seats for a minute, please. Thank you. You enjoy the concert? Great job. Did you hear any noises during the quiet parts? Yeah, so did I. They're pretty annoying, aren't they? The person making those noises is Brad Cohen. Come on up here, Brad.
What?
Do you like making noises and upsetting people, Brad?
No, sir.
Then why do you do it?
What? Because I have Tourette's syndrome.
What's that?
It's a thing in my brain that causes me to make weird noises.
But you could control it if you wanted to, right?
No, sir. It's a sickness.
Well, why can't you just get cured?
There isn't any cure. I don't like making noises any more than you like hearing them. They're even worse when I get stressed, when you don't accept that I can't stop them. But when I feel accepted, then they're not so bad.
What can we do? And I mean everyone in this school. What can we do to help you, Brad?
I just want to be treated like everybody else.
Good job. You can sit down.
Drop.
A few words, a little education, and it was like opening a door to a brand new world. Now someday, some way I knew, Tourette's or no Tourette's, I was going to be a teacher.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you, I'm honored, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. All right, now you're embarrassing me. Oh. Thank you so much. I am truly honored to be here in your community today, and I've got to tell you, I am thoroughly impressed. You know, there is so much pride in this building right now. First of all, I just want to thank Dr. Bonds. What a true leader you are. I saw how you are building relationships with so many people today and how you have so much pride to be the leader of this school district. Thank you for thinking of me to come speak to everyone today. And Carl, you're a great host last night and another great leader, and I appreciate both of you bringing me here today. And I can't begin without saying the bands, the choir, amazing stuff. Kudos to each of you for bringing so much pride. As you were playing the music, I sat back and I had to just reflect for a second. And then we broke into the Star Spangled Banner, and as I looked around, I saw something I don't think I've ever seen before. And that was every single person in this room had their hand over their heart. There's so much pride for this country, for this state, and I can only imagine what you all bring back to your schools as the pride that you have to be an educator, to make a difference in the lives of the students and the community members that you work with every single day. You know, you're probably asking yourselves, why bring another teacher to San Angelo? We have teachers here in our own community. Why bring Brad Cohen to speak to you today? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Well, because I have a story. I have a story that I believe each and every one of you need to hear. You see, people didn't believe in me because I made funny faces and funny noises all day, every single day of my life. And understand this. Well, I just wanted to be treated like every other kid with a little bit of respect. But you see, I couldn't get that respect. Well, I just couldn't get it. I remember the summer before 4th grade. My mom sent me to a summer camp for a month, an overnight summer camp. I loved it. We had skiing and sailing and horseback riding. I had the time of my life. But then during that summer, I started to make these weird noises, like this eeping sound. Go, eep, eep, eep. And then I started making this froggy voice. And the more I did the froggy voice, the more the other kids in my cabin would say, do that froggy voice again, do that froggy voice again. And I would do it. And then my concerts would say, do it again. And I would do the froggy voice. I was like the coolest kid at camp. Well, the concerts would say, that's right, he's in my cabin. Well, and I never forget on the last night of camp. All the kids at camp were sitting around the campfire. And I remember the concerts were giving out awards to each one of the campers. And then it was my turn. My concert said, I now like to give Brad Cohen the Froggy Award. I was like, yes, I got the Froggy Award. I went up, I got the award. I took it. He said, talk like a frog, talk like a frog. I did it. And I went and I sat down with all the other campers. I was so excited. I was so excited to go home the next day and to tell my mom that I got the Froggy Award. Well, the next day, the bus rolls in, and I see my mom. I jump off the bus. I said, Mom, look, I got the Froggy Award at camp. She's like, that's great, Bradley. What's the Froggy Award? And I said, the Froggy Award is I talk like a frog. Look, and I started doing the voice. And she's like, that's great, Brad. I'm so proud of you. Now jump in the car. Let's go home. So we jumped in the car and we started to head home. And I kept doing that froggy voice. I kept doing it more and more. And my mom's like, okay, that's great, Brad. That's enough. And I kept doing it more. And she's like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. My brother would be like, okay, that's enough. It's getting annoying now. Finally, my mom's like, stop, Brad. It's so annoying. But see, this weird thing happened. I could not stop. I tried to stop, but I couldn't. This voice kept coming out. And the more she told me to stop, the more I felt like I had to do it. Well, a couple weeks went by and school was about to start. And you know, everyone's excited to go back to school. And I was ready for 4th grade. The only problem was that school was a little different this year. Because you know, when you come back to school in that 4th grade class, you have to sit in your seat. You have to face the front board. You have to keep your mouth closed and listen to the teacher. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that because I started making this eeping sound, these froggy voices. And the more that I made these voices, the more my teacher said, that's enough out of you, Brad. That's enough. Stop. You're so annoying. You're disrupting me. Stop. And again, the more they told me to stop, I couldn't. I couldn't stop. They started calling home and telling my mom, your son is being very disruptive today. He needs to stop these behaviors. And the more that my mom got these phone calls, the more my mom realized something's going on here. Something's not right. But then at home, I was having a difficult time too. I remember that I was out with my grandparents one day, and we were on our way to a restaurant. And as we were heading to that restaurant, I kept making these noises, these voices, and they said, Brad, you need to stop. You need to stop making those voices and noises, otherwise we're going to turn the car around because I will not take you to that restaurant. I will not take you to that restaurant where you are going to embarrass us. No. And as we headed to the restaurant, they had enough. And they turned the car around, and we went home, and we had dinner at their house. You see, my mom tried to figure out what was going on. She tried to figure it out as quickly as possible. You see, my brother was giving me a hard time too. He was calling me all these different these names. He kept calling me names to try to bother me. Well, you see, my dad knew how to stop this. He said, tough love, that's how you stop it. And my mom's like, hold on just a moment, that's not how we fix this. You see, quickly, my mom realized that I had a medical condition called Tourette's syndrome. She tried to educate people, but they didn't listen. Well, you see, I remember 5th grade. I was sitting in my seat. I was trying to do my work. I was trying to be like every other student, minding their own business, doing their work, but no, my noises kept coming out more and more and more. And the teacher kept getting more and more fed up with me and finally said, Brad, that's enough out of you. Get up to the front of the class and apologize for all those noises that you're making. And I got up in front of the class and I said, I'm sorry for making all these noises. And I went to sit down. And she said, you get back up there again and tell those students that you will not do it again. Well, and I said, I'm sorry, but I will not do it again. And I went and I sat down. And what did I start to do? Those same noises. Well, you see, in many ways, that classroom was a safe place for me because the next year I went to middle school. And you remember middle school? If you're not the best looking, if you're not smart, if you're not the athlete, then you were the dork or the geek or the kid in the corner that made noises. That was me. You see, I tried to be like everyone else, but those students wouldn't let me. I remember sitting in my math class, and as I sat there trying to learn from the teacher, those kids would keep flicking me on the back of the head trying to shut me up. They would keep pushing me around trying to shut me up. And the teachers, they had enough. They had enough and said, Brad, stop making those noises. And then that teacher had enough out of me and said, Brad, get up here to the front of the room. You're going to timeout. And timeout was across the hall. And I had to take that timeout slip and walk across the hall because he thought I was doing the hiccups on purpose. And when I took that timeout slip and I went across the hall, I walked in that math class. And that teacher said, Brad, you're here again? You know where to go. Get to the back of the room. Face that back wall and stop making those noises. And that's what I did. I faced the back wall. And I tried to learn math backwards, but I couldn't. And that probably has something to do with the fact I'm not real good at math today. But I tried to learn. And in some ways, that classroom is even more safe because when I went out in the hallways, those mean kids would book me and my books would go everywhere and they shoved me around. And then it was lunchtime, and as I sat there, and I tried to eat lunch like every other student in that building. I sat there at that round table trying to mind my own business. The mean kids, the bullies, they came up to me and mocked my noises. They threw food in my face. And I hated them. I hated every single one of those students. They wouldn't treat me with respect. And then I looked up and I looked for someone to save me. And as I looked around the cafeteria, there were all the teachers turning a blind eye, pretending like they didn't even see what was going on. I hated school. I hated school. What was there like about school? I had no friends. No friends. No one wanted to be friends with a noisemaker. So I just sat there and I took it like a man. I guess I grew thicker skin than others because I just had to deal with things that they didn't have to deal with. And I sat there and I wanted to beat those kids up. I did. I wanted to beat them up so bad, but I knew deep down you don't just go around beating people up. And then one day, my principal came up to me and said, Brad, what do you think about us getting up in front of all the students and educating them about Tourette's syndrome? I thought to myself, what's the worst thing that can happen? I would lose my friends? Well, I didn't have any friends. So the two of us got up in front of the entire student population, and that's what you saw on the screen just before I got up here. We educated them about Tourette's syndrome. We told them that Tourette's syndrome was a neurological disorder which causes people to make noises and tics that they cannot control. We told them that you do the noises more when you're nervous or when you're under stress or when you're in an uncomfortable environment, but when you're relaxed. When you're relaxed or when you're really focused on something or you're around people that understand you, you don't make those tics nearly as much. We try to explain to people that, Tourette's syndrome is hereditary. It's passed down generation after generation after generation, and I just happen to be the first generation of Touretters in my family. We try to educate everyone that, yeah, there are medications out there for Tourette's syndrome, but oftentimes the side effects of those medications make life very difficult. And then we told everybody that Tourette's syndrome is not contagious, so don't worry about it. There's no way for you to get it. And then I told everyone that I'm open and I'm honest about living with Tourette's syndrome. If at any time anybody wants to come up and ask me a question, feel free to do so. You see, I felt good about myself. I felt good about myself, and I went to sit down in my seat. And that's when the most amazing thing happened. Everybody in the auditorium on that day started clapping. Started clapping for me. They started to give me a standing ovation because I had Tourette's syndrome. This is weird. Well, I was like, this is the first time I ever got a standing ovation for having Tourette's syndrome. But on that day, as I sat down, I realized they just wanted to know. They just wanted to know why I was so different on that day. On that day, I realized the power of education. On that day, I realized what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to focus on those kids' strengths, not their weaknesses. I wanted to give kids pats on the back for doing good things. Man, I wanted to be that 5th grade teacher that would give out those scratch and sniff stickers to any and every student for no reason at all, because I could never get it. I could never get the scratch and sniff sticker. And I knew someday I would be able to do that. Oh yeah, I had a dream. Oh, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. And then, that next year, all those students from middle school, they moved up to high school with me. You see, my high school was pretty big. We had about 2,500 students. So in many ways, I was this little bitty fish in a great big pond. I had to figure out, how was I going to find success? But see, it started off easy for me because everyone understood the Tourette's. And quickly, my teachers started to understand the Tourette's. I started to join different organizations in our school. You see, my self-confidence went up. My self-esteem went up. My academic grades went up because I didn't have to worry about my teachers kicking me out of class, and I didn't have to worry about those kids flicking me in the back of the head trying to shut me up. I could finally concentrate on what was important, academics. I finally started to have a social life. I started to have true friends. You see, people got to know me for what I was all about on the inside and not what I was looking like on the outside. You see, the hardest thing about living with Tourette's syndrome is ignorance. It's the people that don't know and the people who don't want to know. But now I had that off my plate because people understood Tourette's. You see, I tried my hardest to work hard in school. I joined a youth group outside of school. I started to recognize my own strengths, and I capitalized on them. And I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And to be a teacher, you have to go to a college or a university. And I'll never forget the day that I was walking down the hallways of our school, and I heard the following announcement. The following colleges and universities are visiting our campus today. If you'd like to meet with one of their representatives, you can meet them in the counselor's office. Now, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, so I heard University of Missouri, University of Illinois, Michigan, Harvard, Yale, Bradley University. I'm like, Bradley University? I could see it now. Bradley Cohen attends Bradley University. I was like, this school's got my name written all over it. So I went home and I said, Mom, I know where I want to go to school. She goes, where do you want to go to school? I said, Bradley University. She goes, why do you want to go to Bradley University? I said, because it has a great name. She goes, you can't go to school just because of its name. It's like, whoa. She picks up the phone and calls my father and says, you need to hear where your son wants to go to school. Hello, Brad, where do you want to go to school? I said, I want to go to Bradley University. He goes, why do you want to go to Bradley University? I said, because it has a great name. He goes, you can't go to school just because of its name. Well, guess what? 1 year later, I started attending Bradley University just because of its name. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever been to a college, a university, or a school that has the same name as you, but it's pretty cool. You see, I used to go to the Bradley basketball games, and I used to sit in the front row right behind the basket. And you know who was in between myself and the players on the court? The cheerleaders. Oh yeah, let's go Bradley. Let's go Bradley. Let's go Bradley. I was like, oh, this is great. Oh, but it got better. It got much better. You see, they started cheering my name and spelling my name out. B-R-A-D-L-E-Y. B-R-A-D-L-E-Y. I was like, this is awesome. Well, I called my mom. I said, you got to come visit. You got to come visit. She's like, focus on academics. Please don't fail out. Well, now, I didn't really go to Bradley University just because of its name. Well, it was actually located about 2.5 hours away from St. Louis in Peoria, Illinois. You see, it was a smaller college. If I went to a big college like Texas, I would fail right away. I need something smaller. It only had about 6,000 students, and I knew that would be more successful for myself. And then, they had a great education program. You see, they got the students, the freshmen, into the schools and the community the very first semester. I didn't have to wait till my junior year to go visit a school and have my experiences. Well, I was there right away, because that way you knew if you really wanted to be a teacher. And that way you had the most experience possible before you enter the real world. Now here I am, a student, and I had Tourette's syndrome. And I had to figure out, how was I going to educate all these people in Peoria, Illinois, and at Bradley University about Tourette's? You see, I did the same exact thing that I did in high school. In high school, before every single class, I would go up to the teacher and say, can I take just 2 minutes to educate everyone in the room about Tourette's? Because again, when I know that you know about Tourette's, I don't do the tics nearly as much. So, I thought, what better professor to go try this out first with than my education professor? So before the first class, I walked into his room, and I said, hello, sir, my name is Brad Cohen, I have Tourette's syndrome. Do you mind if I take just 2 minutes at the beginning of class to educate everyone about Tourette's syndrome? Well, he's like, well, Brad, I know you're new to college, but let me explain something to you. We really don't have much time. I got to get through the syllabus on the first day. I really want a seating chart on the first day. I need to get through the rules and expectations of what's going to happen here. I have a routine. I said, well, just give me 2 minutes. He's like, Brad, I don't have time. I apologize, but we don't have time. I said, just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute so I can educate everyone about Tourette's. It'll make my life a lot easier. So he goes, okay, I can give you a minute, but it needs to be at the end of the class, not at the beginning. Well, because I have so much to do. So I said, fine. That's fine. I'll take it. Well, so there we were on the first day of class in a small auditorium. Now you have to understand, this was the first day of classes for me, and I was a nervous wreck. I was twitching and ticking and bopping and whopping. I'm all over the place. And I learned best by sitting in the front row. So I'm sitting in the front row doing my thing, and then the professor comes up and goes, hello, students. My name is Professor blah, blah, blah. Well, and today you're in Education 101. Today we need, and then he stops. He said, before I go any further, I need to introduce one of our students to come up and talk to you for just 1 minute. Well, now I'm sitting over there saying, you said the end of class, didn't you? He's like, no, get up here right now. Well, so I got up there right now and I educated everyone about Tourette's. And when I was done talking, I could tell that all the students were at ease and they understood. I became more at ease and my tics slowed down a lot. And my professor, well, he was a nervous wreck the whole semester. So that's a whole nother story. But quickly, I started to have a really good college experience. You see, I studied really, really hard. And I want you to understand that a person with Tourette's syndrome doesn't go through life having it easy. Because what takes you 1 hour to read took me several hours to read, because as I was in the library and I was studying hard, my eyes would start twitching even more. I would be making my noises, jerking my arms, jerking my head and my neck, and I'd get halfway down the page. I forget what I was reading. I need to start the page over. I'm twitching. I get halfway down the page. I forgot what I was reading. I have to do it again. And sometimes I literally had to turn the book over to the front cover to remind myself even what subject I was looking at. But let me tell you something. I never made an excuse, because I knew that one excuse will lead to the other, and I never made excuses. I knew that my professors were waiting for me to say, I know that we have a test today. I know that we have a major exam, but I'm sorry, I'm not ready for it because my tics were so bad last night. They don't care. I knew that I had to dig deep and figure it out, and that's what I did. For 4 years at Bradley University, I studied my tail off. I did what I needed to do. I took on tons of leadership experiences throughout different organizations on campus. You see, my resume was nearly flawless. I had great student teaching experiences, great recommendations from those teachers. I graduated cum laude with honors. I was ready to take on the world. And where did I want to be a teacher? I decided that I wanted to go to Atlanta, Georgia. Why Atlanta, Georgia? Because that's where the 1996 Summer Olympics were. And if there was going to be a world party, I wanted to be part of it. So I headed to Atlanta. And let me tell you, at night I had the most amazing experiences and went to different Olympic sports. I saw track and field and baseball. I saw volleyball and I saw basketball. Oh, I saw the swimming. It was awesome. But during the day, that's when it happened. Interview. After interview, 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 I could not convince elementary school principals to hire me as an elementary school teacher. They said, Brad, if you work in our school, what will we tell the community? They will not accept you making all these noises. If you work in our school, how will we explain this to the teachers? They won't know what to do. I said, you educate them and they will listen. It will not be a problem. They said, Brad, if you work in our school, how can our students possibly concentrate and learn anything? I said, I've been fine for the past 4 years. I know I could do it. And then one principal said, Brad, if you work in my school, my 5th graders will beat you up. What? No, they won't. Educate them. And then another principal kept going on and on. You can't do it. I've never seen a teacher with Tourette's syndrome be successful. How can you possibly be successful? And kept going on and on. You can't do it. And finally, I had enough. I kindly asked for my portfolio back. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, but I can't work for you. I walked out of the room on that day. I walked out of the room on that day and I thought to myself, I just want to be a teacher. I got in my car and I thought about it, I just want to be a teacher. I've been going on interview after interview after interview and I cannot convince these principals to hire me, and I was getting so frustrated. I was nearly ready to give up, and on the way home I started to think about it more and more, and I started to cry. I started to cry so hard that I literally had to pull over on the side of the highway. I had to recompose myself, wipe the tears off, and get home. And when I got home, I took my sport coat off. I threw my portfolio down, and I laid down on the couch, and I pretty much cried myself to sleep. You see, that night I had the worst attitude. The worst attitude. You see, my mom was furious at me. She's like, you walked out on the interview. No, don't burn those bridges. I said, Mom, I can't work for that guy. If that's how he's treating me, then think about how he's supporting the teachers in that building that have kids with special needs. No way. That's not the building I need to work in. My mom said, come back to St. Louis, okay? People know you here. They'll eventually hire you. My dad said, well, go be a substitute teacher. Go be a substitute teacher and let them get to see you in action. They'll eventually hire you. And I was like, no, that's not what I want. I don't want to go back to St. Louis. And I do not want to be a substitute teacher. I was ready. Again, I went to sleep that night with the worst attitude. And when I woke up the next day, I had to make a choice. Was I going to keep that negative attitude, or was I going to start off with a new, fresh, positive attitude? And see, that's what my mother always taught me. She taught me that you have a positive attitude and you dig deep and you find it. And that's what I did. I woke up that next day. I went to my computer. I printed off 20 resumes. I stuck them in my portfolio. I put my suit on. I walked out of the door, and I went to school after school after school to find that job. I walked into some schools, and I saw the secretary, and the secretary said, "Hello, sir." I said, "Hello, is the principal here?" They said, "She sure is." Well, the principal came out and said, "Hello, my name is Brad Cohen. It's nice to meet you. I'm looking for a position as a teacher. If you have an opening, please consider me." They said, "Thank you very much," and I walked out. There were some schools that I walked into. The secretary said, "The principal's not here." I said, "That's fine. Well, here is my resume. Please give it to the principal when they return." And there were some schools that I walked into. Well, I couldn't find the principal. I couldn't find the secretary. So I hunted down the custodians. I found the custodian. I said, "Hello, sir. My name is Brad Cohen. I'm looking for a job. When your principal gets back, will you please give her my resume?" And of course, the custodian goes, "Okay." But I didn't care who I gave it to. Well, I just needed that job. I jumped back in the car and I headed home. I took off my sport coat. I put my portfolio down. I felt good about myself. I felt good about myself as I laid there on the couch. And then the phone rang. The phone rang, and when I picked up the phone, it was a principal and assistant principal on the other line. Well, they said, "Hello, is Brad Cohen there?" I said, "Hello, this is Brad." They said, "Hello, Brad. Well, we're wondering if you have gotten a position yet." I said, "No, I haven't." They said, "Would you be interested in coming down for an interview this afternoon?" An interview this afternoon, you know it. I put my sport coat back on, I grabbed that portfolio and headed out to that school. And let me tell you something. It was an interview like no other interview I'd ever had before. Right when I walked in, they started to ask me questions like, "Brad, what is your philosophy of education? Brad, what is your classroom management style? Brad, how do you do your reading groups to make sure that you hit the needs of all your students? Brad, how do you communicate with your parents?" You see, the other 24 interviews that I went on, they never asked me those questions. All they were worried about was my Tourette syndrome. They couldn't look past it, but on this day, I knew something good was going to happen. About an hour and a half into the interview, I'll never forget when that principal, he put his hands behind his head. He kicked his feet up on the desk and said, "Brad, I've got to ask you a personal question if you don't mind." I said, "No, if it's too personal, just say it's too personal." He goes, "Brad, I got to know. Do you make those noises when you sleep?" I was like, "What? What kind of question is that? And is that even legal to ask?" So I looked right back at him and I said, "I don't know, I'm sleeping." I said, "No, seriously, when I'm relaxed, when I'm sleeping, much like I am right now, I don't make these noises nearly as much." You see, on that day, the principal got it. The assistant principal got it. And on that day, I was hired after my 25th interview as a second grade teacher at Mountain View Elementary School in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, I got a job! Yes! Oh, yeah. What? Oh, yeah. You remember, teachers? Where are my new teachers? Are there any rookies out there? Where are new teachers? Raise your hand. Yeah, you know the feeling. You know the feeling. You were on the phone. "I got a job. I got a job." Yes, yes, yes. You know the feeling. And my veterans, you better not have ever forgotten that feeling. And students, you will know the feeling one day. It's awesome. It's awesome. I was on top of the world. I was on top of the world. And I was ready to go. Oh, I was ready to go. Now, let me tell you one thing. I was hired 3 weeks into the school year because the second grade classes were getting a little too big. You see, the principal went over to the second grade team and said, "Hey, there's too many students in your classes. I just hired a new guy to join your team. I need for each one of you to choose about 3 or 4 kids from your class to give to the new guy." Oh, yeah. Actually, you're making me a little nervous right now. Because these are probably those veterans, and you probably did this to someone else. Shame on you. Don't do it again. That's right. I got the kids that couldn't read. I got the kids that couldn't write. I got the kids that couldn't do math. I got the kids with the high maintenance parents. Oh, I got the kids that couldn't sit still in class. And you know what? I didn't care. I didn't care what student I got. You give me them. You give me those students. And again, I will never forget that first day. I'll never forget those first days as those students were pushing their desks down the hallway and into my room. I'm like, come on in, students, come on in. And I'll never forget that little boy. We got the new guy. We got the new guy. I'm like, get in there. And I closed the door and I looked in front of me and those students were all over the place. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, I went to a 4-year college, a really good university. I graduated with honors, but they never tell you what to do in a situation like this. Okay, think, Brad, what are you gonna do? Think. I knew what my first lesson was gonna be. It was gonna be to teach those kids that no matter what weakness you have in life, what disability or challenge you have, you can still follow your dreams, much like I was able to follow mine to become a teacher. Oh, I sat down in my rocking chair. I asked all the students to sit around me, and I said, good morning, students. And they all go, good morning, Mr. Cohen. Yes. Well, I said, boys and girls, I need to tell you something about myself. Well, I have a medical condition called Tourette's syndrome. Tourette's syndrome is a neurological disorder which causes me to make noises and tics that I can't control. Every single one of those kids looked up at me like, huh? All right, second grade language. Second grade. Boys and girls, there's something in my brain that tells me that I have to make these funny faces and funny noises all day, every single day of my life. Well, much like there's something in your brains that tell you that you have to do something all day, every single day of your life. Does anybody know what that is? Oh. I said, yeah. Well, my brain tells me to raise my hand whenever the teacher wants to call on me. I'm like, no, brown noser, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Oh, I know, yeah. Well, my brain tells me to breathe, otherwise I'm gonna die. No, that's not what I'm thinking about. Well, oh. Yes, sir. My brain tells me that I have to talk all day, and my mom has me on medication, but she says it doesn't always work. Great. No, boys and girls, think about it. Your brain has you do something. Everyone does it. What do we do? Think about it. What do we do? And this little boy goes, I think I know, Mr. Cohen. I said, yes. Well, he goes, Mr. Cohen, my brain tells me to blink my eyes all day. And I said, bingo. Well, just like your brain tells you to blink your eyes all day, my brain tells me that I have to blink my eyes and I have to make these funny noises all day, and I can't help it. So boys and girls, you blink your eyes all day, I make noises all day, not a big deal. And then a little boy raises his hand and said, but Mr. Cohen, I just want you to know, I don't blink my eyes all day. I can actually stop, see? Okay, so I guess you can stop for a few minutes, well, maybe seconds, and I guess I can stop for a little bit too, but eventually I have to make these noises. So, and then a boy goes, oh, but Mr. Cohen. I said, yeah? He goes, Mr. Cohen, I just want you to know there is a time that I actually do not blink my eyes. I said, yeah, really, when? He goes, when I sleep. Well, when I sleep, I don't blink my eyes. And I said, that's a really good point. Well, because when I sleep, I don't make my noises and I don't blink my eyes either. Thank you for sharing. But then this really astute boy, like in the back of the room, goes, but Mr. Cohen, I must clarify something. I do blink my eyes when I sleep. It's called REM sleep, rapid eye movement. And I'm like, well, you do have a good point. No, I said, listen, that's 5th grade curriculum. Right now, you're in 2nd grade. For right now, we do not blink our eyes when we sleep. And then I got real serious. I said, boys and girls, there's one thing we will never, ever do in this classroom. They're like, oh my goodness, he's mean. Well, I said, we will never, ever play hide and go seek. Because every time I play hide and go seek, I lose. And Mr. Cohen does not like to lose. And of course, there was that kid, let's play hide and go seek, let's play hide and go seek, we want to beat the teacher. I was like, no, we're not playing hide and go seek. But understand, just because they were 7 and 8 years old, they got it. They understood my condition. And I'll never forget the day that we were walking in a single file line to art. And as we were walking to art, we passed a kindergarten class. And right as we passed that kindergarten class, one of those little kindergarten kids got out of line, came right up to me and started mocking my noises and my faces. Before I could say anything, one of my students got out of line and said, "Don't make fun of Mr. Cohen, he can't help it. There's something in his brain that tells him he has to make those noises, just like there's something in your brain that tells you you have to blink your eyes." The little kindergartner's like, "Oh my gosh, okay." And I said the same thing. They got it. They understood. Now let me tell you something. My first year of teaching was not easy. It was not easy at all because I had some difficult, challenging students, and they had some real challenges. I had kids in my classroom that truly couldn't read and couldn't figure it out. And I stood by their side. I said, "I am standing here by your side and I will not give up on you because I know what it's like. I know what it's like for a teacher to give up on you, and that will not happen in this classroom." I let them know that I was there for them before school, after school, during school, whatever it took. And I had some challenges with behaviors, but I never gave up on those kids. And I let them know it every single day. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. We had some really good times, and yeah, we had some difficult times too, like the time when we went out to recess. Oh, yeah. I'm standing there minding my own business, and all of a sudden I hear, Mr. Cohen, one of your students is writing on the back wall of the school." Oh, and as I walk closer, there is a student of mine writing on the back wall of the school. He's picking berries off of the berry bush and writing on the back brick wall. And as I get closer, I see what he's writing. B-I-T-C-H. What are you doing? We don't do that. What's wrong with you? I'm thinking to myself, we have a serious problem here. You can spell that on the back wall of the school, but you can't spell the word boat on your spelling test. Come on. And then the next day, all of a sudden, there was like this commotion going on down the bathroom. I'm like, "What's going on?" And I run down there to see what's happening, and there are two of my students. They took toilet paper from the bathroom, and they lined it from one end of the bathroom to the other and shoved the wad into the toilet. And there was another kid right there with a lighter, starting a fire, trying to see how long it takes to catch a fire from one end of the bathroom to the other. We don't do that! Oh. So then I'm in my classroom, we finish up the day, and I kid you not, the day ends, and over the intercom system I hear, "Mr. Cohen, are you in the room?" "Yeah." "Can you come down to my office?" It was the assistant principal. I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "We need to talk." I'm like, oh gosh, you heard what happened. So the way I like to do things, I'm going to be open and honest, and I'm just going to lay the cards on the table. I'm going to apologize, and we're going to move on. I'm just going to say this is a rookie mistake. So there I go. I walk into her office, and there she is, kicked back on her desk and her chair like this, and she goes, "Hi, Brad." I said, "Hello." She said, "You ready to chat?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "I just want to tell you, I am so sorry. I apologize. I really wasn't paying attention outside. I promise it won't happen again." "What won't happen again?" "What are you talking about? What won't happen again? What are you talking?" I'm like, nothing. She said, "What are you up to, Brad?" I said, nothing. She said, "Sit down." She said, "I want to talk to you because you've done an amazing job this year. We'd like to nominate you for an award. It's called the Sally Mae First Class Teacher of the Year Award." I was like, "Teacher of the Year? Are you kidding?" I was like, no, not me." She said, "Yeah, Brad, you've done amazing things. You've done things that other teachers weren't able to do. You're teaching kids that they didn't even want. You've done an amazing job." I'm like, no, that's not for me. I'm sorry." She's like, "No, Brad, we need to nominate you. We need your permission. This is definitely you." I'm like, Definitely me? Are you kidding me? I got kids writing bad words on the back wall of the school. I got kids starting fires in the bathroom, and you want me to be a Teacher of the Year candidate? Wow, it's easier than I thought. She's like, "No, calm down, no." Again, you've done amazing things. Let's do it, Brad. Well, so we did. We filled out the application. And a month later, I learned that I was selected as Cobb County's Sally Mae First Class Teacher of the Year. And then 3 weeks later, I learned that I was selected as the First Class Teacher of the Year for the state of Georgia. For the state of Georgia. Thank you. I gotta be honest, for me and me alone, it was a big deal. And teachers know we're not all about accolades and winning Teacher of the Years. It's a nice honor, but that's not what it's all about. But for me, it was an opportunity to give myself a pat on the back. Because 1 year prior to winning that award, I had principals telling me that I couldn't do it. That I couldn't be a teacher because I had Tourette's syndrome. And now I'm being honored by the state of Georgia. You know what, Brad? That's what you call perseverance. Don't give up. It was a reminder to me that I got to keep doing what I do every single day and give it 100%. You see, for the past 18 years of my life, that's what I've been doing. I've been making a difference. Primarily as a second grade teacher, but recently I've become an assistant principal in an elementary school, and I love it because I'm making a difference in the lives of those students and the teachers in my community. Well, understand this, my life has gotten better with Tourette's. Well, I'm not going to say that everything is peachy-dory, because when I walk into a restaurant and you want to enjoy your nice meal, well, I want to do the same. The problem is I'm making a lot of noise, and sometimes people don't like that. Sometimes they go and they get the manager to ask me to be moved from one seat to another, or possibly even removed from the building. And what about me? I had to fly here from Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, think about it. How would you like to be the person sitting next to me on that airplane, whopping and dropping the whole time? Now, lucky for that person, when I get on, they don't realize that I sleep like a baby on the plane. Well, I think I fell asleep before we even took off, and I woke up before we landed. But I know it's hard. And what about movies? Movies? No, not for me. I have to pick and choose my battles in life. And I know that you want to see that movie, and I'm just going to distract you. So I decided I'm not going to watch movies anymore at the theater. So I decided to buy myself a big screen TV and a big old lazy boy, and I watch movies in my own house. I figured out this game. But understand, I knew I was making a difference in my community, but I wanted more. And that's when I decided that I was going to write a book called Front of the Class, How Tourette's Syndrome Made Me the Teacher That I Never Had. You see, this book was for every single educator, every single teacher, to remind them the difference that you make. It's for every single parent out there that has a kid with Tourette's syndrome or some other kind of disability or challenge in life, to tell them, do not ever give up on your kid. Your kid needs you the most. Be that advocate for them when they have no one else that they could turn to. That book's for any kid out there that has a disability or a challenge, to let them know that there's hope. There's hope that they can find success. They can follow their dreams much like I was able to follow mine. I knew I was making a difference in Atlanta, Georgia, and now I was able to make a difference across the country. And I'll never forget that soon after my book was out, I received a phone call. Hello? Hi, is Brad Cohen there? Yes, this is Brad. Hi, Brad, this is Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, are you kidding me? She wanted to do a show about beating the odds. She wanted to invite myself and my assistant principal up to Chicago, Illinois, to be on the show to share how when someone gives someone a chance, and in our case to be a teacher, look at the difference they make. So that's right, I headed to Chicago, Illinois. Well, they picked me up in a limousine, and there we were on Oprah. You might remember the episode that I was on Oprah. The episode started off like this. There was a two-legged dog hopping across the stage like this. You see, the dog had no front paws. A family was ready to euthanize that dog, but another family said, no, no, no. We'll take that dog in. We can provide that dog a quality life. And they did. The dog's name is Faith, because you got to have a little faith. And Faith travels across the country. Now, yes, I was on that episode and my friends give me a hard time because they remind me that I followed a two-legged dog. But I remind them that they're still waiting for their tickets to Oprah, and I've already been on Oprah. And it was an amazing experience to be on Oprah because millions of people saw that. And that's when the next thing happened. Hallmark Hall of Fame called me up. They contacted me and said that they wanted to do a made-for-TV movie about my life. Ooh, thought to myself, well, who would play Brad Cohen? Well, I thought about my favorite actor of all time, Denzel Washington. Yes. Hallmark's like, hold on one second. I love the idea, but that's not going to work. We've already selected a lady to be your mother. She's amazing. Her name is Patricia Heaton. Patricia Heaton, I'm thinking. From Everybody Loves Raymond, now she's currently on The Middle on ABC. I'm like, cool, my mom's gonna love that. Patricia Heaton. And we have this great guy to play your father. His name is Treat Williams. Treat Williams, he was on Everwood and he's been on so many other shows. Well, I'm like, cool, my dad is gonna like the fact that they got Treat Williams. Well, they go, Brad, we have an amazing guy, an amazing actor to play you. His name is Jimmy Walk. Who? Who's Jimmy Walk? I went right to the computer, I type in Jimmy Walk, and I look on imdb.com, and there he is. He's been in one episode of Young and the Restless as a sailor. Well, this sucks. I'm like, this is my movie. Well, my mom gets Patricia Heaton, my dad gets Treat Williams, and I get Jimmy Walk. I'm like, come on. They're like, Brad, no, this guy's amazing. So they flew me to the set of Shreveport, Louisiana. And when I got to Shreveport, Louisiana, they brought me in, and there was Jimmy Walk playing me. And I got in there, and I started to watch him for a little bit, and I'm thinking, wow, he's pretty good. Well, I'm watching him a little bit longer, and he starts making my same noises. I'm thinking, dang, this guy's really good. You see, I've been making my noises for 30 years. He's been making them for 2 weeks, and he already makes my noises better than I make them. And then I met another kid, Dominic Scott Kay. You saw him on the screen. He played me as a kid. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And of course, I was with my wife, and she's with me, and she's thinking, all right, this is crazy. There's not one Brad Cohen. There's not two. There's now three of you. This is not good. But they were both good. And understand, when you make a movie, well, you don't do it in sequential order. You do this scene, then you do this one, and you start at the end, then you do the beginning. Now understand, well, I got there and I'm making my noises. Well, they've already been on the set for 2 weeks and they've already mastered these ticks and these noises. But understand, they were doing these ticks and noises from when I first was hired, like over 10, 15 years ago, and then the ticks when I was in middle school. Well, my ticks have changed a little bit. So all of a sudden I get on set, I start making my noises, and they realize they're not matching up. Well, so the next scene, they start changing their noises. And the director's like, whoa, 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 1 second. Hold on. Don't change those noises. We've already been doing it this way. It's going to be a mess if we have all the noises all over the place. But they perfected it. They perfected it. I don't know how many of you have seen Front of the Class, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Thank you. But I want you to know, this movie is filled with character education. It's filled with character education that we teach in our schools every single day. And understand this, well, the movie is about 90% authentic. My biggest fear in having a movie done about my life is that they were going to turn this into a monster. Because so many people think of Tourette's syndrome as the cursing disease. That all these people with Tourette's, we just say bad words. Now I can tell you that I don't say bad words all day. Or at least I can't blame it on Tourette's syndrome. But, well, I didn't want that movie to get out of hand. Well, and so, well, they kept it in check. They said, we don't have to change a thing, Brad. Your movie is plenty authentic. So when you see that movie, just know that it is authentic, and the only things that they really switched around were sometimes the timeline of events, because they only wanted to be a 2-hour movie and not an 8-hour movie. But understand that that movie made a difference. Well, and some of you may know who Jimmy Walk is. He was most recently on the TV show The Crazy Ones with Robin Williams and Sarah Michelle Gellar. And well, he was also on a show that was on for a very brief amount of time, that some of you in Texas would have called Midland. And so he was a star in that one. And so you're going to see a lot of this guy. And you're going to see a lot of the people that were in my movie. And I'm very proud of the movie that they did because it's making a difference. Again, for the past 18 years of my life, I've been making a difference. Oh, you want to talk about dating? All right, let's talk about dating life. Well, think about it, ladies. How would you like to go out with the guy who makes all the noises? A little different, I know. Because I used to have what's called second date syndrome. I could get the first date, I just couldn't get the second. But then I learned about internet dating. Oh yeah, I could put this beautiful profile of myself up on the computer, and then I don't have to mention Tourette's syndrome at all. Well, after that first date and I didn't mention Tourette's at all, that was a mess. I realized this is part of who I am. They got to accept me. Now, I didn't put guy with Tourette's syndrome looking for a girl that would put up with me. No. I put my profile up. I figured out who liked me, and then right before we went out, I talked to them on the phone. And we realized what was going on. And then I met that someone that said, it's okay, I'll go out with you. And she went out with me. And then we kept going out again and again and again. And I'll never forget when she said, listen, Brad, Tourette's is the least of your issues, okay? You don't need to worry about that. I said, thank you very much. And after 2 years after meeting her, we got married, and I'm honored to say that we're still married, and we have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, both boys. Now, thank you. The reason I tell you that part is because there were a lot of people that said, are you sure you want to have kids? Again, with Tourette's syndrome being hereditary, do you really want to possibly have a kid with Tourette's? And I thought, well, I figured it out. And yes, if my kids happen to have Tourette's syndrome, then we'll deal with it. What better role model than myself? I found success, and I know they can too. And that's how I live my life every single day, my friends. I did not choose to have Tourette's syndrome. I never made the choice to have it, but I did make the choice to accept it. And that's what I hope you all see in me. Is that the kids that walk in your building on Monday morning will come with what we call baggage. And what are you going to do with that baggage? Are you going to stick it back at the door and hope someone says, oops, wrong child, it goes to another class? Or are you going to embrace that child, embrace that baggage, and figure out what you need to do to help that kid? You see, before I leave here today, I want for you to understand a couple of those key character education words that represent what I'm all about. And that first word is passion. Love what you do and do what you love every single day. Because that's what we do as teachers. That's what I saw in Dr. Bond. That's what I saw in all of you in this building as we were introduced today. You have pride because you're a teacher, and I know you love summers. Oh, I know you love it. But I also know some of you have that itch. I'm ready to get back in the class. You've been doing staff development this week. You're ready for those kids. Okay, maybe not quite ready. You probably have a bulletin board or two to still do, but that's okay. I know on Monday morning you're going to be ready. I want you to bring that passion. I want you to give it 100% and bring your A game because your students are waiting for you. They are waiting for you. My friends, it's about positive attitude, and it's about keeping that positive attitude. There are plenty of times in my life that I could have thrown in the towel. There are plenty of times in my life that I had a negative attitude. But what I realized is that when you wake up that next morning after having that negative attitude the night before, you better dig deep and find that positive attitude. Because when you walk into your building, your students are waiting for you. They're excited to be there, and if they're not excited, you got to get them excited, and that can't happen if you have a negative attitude. My friends, I know education today. I'm in the buildings with you. There's a lot asked of us. There's new curriculum, there's lesson plans, and there's planning. And there's planning and assessing and grading and testing and more testing, and you are allowed to get fed up with it. I give you permission to get fed up with it. But you better quickly turn it around and find that positive attitude so when your students walk in there, you're ready to go. It's about perseverance. It's about never giving up. It's about figuring out and digging deep and never making excuses. Because one excuse will lead to the next excuse and lead the next excuse. And then all of a sudden you're just full of excuses. And there were plenty of times in my life that I was able to make excuses. But I never did it. I never did it, my friends. I want you to dig deep and find that perseverance in you. And I don't ever want you to give up. I don't want to lose you. Well, your school district does not want to lose you as a teacher. They say, well, that if we could keep a teacher, a new teacher, for over 3 years, then we got them. We got them. And so those first 3 years, they're toughest. So those of you that have new teachers in your building, you make sure that there are mentors for them and coaches for them so they don't fail. And you know what? If they fail, it's your fault. It's not their fault, it's your fault. They are part of your team. Well, you dig deep, and I don't want anyone in this room to give up because we need you, because we need great teachers. And when you feel like giving up, when you feel like giving up, I want you to look to your students to inspire you, because they will inspire you. And when they feel like giving up, you make sure that they don't give up either. You be there for them. It's all about perseverance, my friends. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is what I like to call the power of one. Well, as you walked in the building today, everyone should have received a little wristband. It says the power of one. I want everyone to take that off the wrist right now or grab it. And I want you to put it on your finger like this. And I want everyone to put one finger up. I want everybody to put one finger up with their band around it, please. It's what I like to call the power of one. That all it takes is for one person, one teacher, one educator, one person in the building to make a difference in the life of that child. Hands down. That's right, I'm a second grade teacher at heart. My question to you is, who's that teacher going to be? Is it going to be you, teacher in the orange shirt? Is it going to be you, teacher in the black shirt? Is it going to be you, teacher in the green, the blue? Is it going to be you over there, our custodial staff, our food service? Who's it going to be? Transportation? Superintendent? Who's that one person going to be? My challenge to you today is to be that one person to make a difference in the life of a child. There is a child that's going to walk in that building on Monday that is waiting for you to recognize them, to dig deep and help the child recognize their own strengths, because they might not even know the strengths that they have. Please, my friends, I want for you to be that one person to make a difference in the life of that child. Because that's what we're all about. We're educators. We're proud of what we do. And we inspire others. And that's what it's all about, my friends. Today, I hope that you have that feeling that when you walk back in your classrooms, that you're able to make a difference. Before I leave you today, I want to share one more story. It's called the starfish. If you've never heard it before, I want for you to never forget it. And if you have heard it before, you need to hear it again. And it goes like this. One day there was a little boy on the beach, and he was so happy. He was jumping and skipping and dancing around. And an old man started to walk closer to that young man, and he realized that he wasn't just skipping and dancing around. He noticed that he was throwing things out into the ocean. And as the old man got closer, he looked at the boy and said, young man, what are you doing?" And the little boy said, "I'm throwing starfish out into the ocean." Well, there are thousands and thousands of starfish on the beach today, and the tide is low. Well, and if we don't get them back in the water, they're all going to die. Young man, well, you can't possibly save all these starfish. There's too many of them. And that little boy looked at the old man right in the eye. He picked up a starfish and he threw it as far as he could. He said, "I may not be able to save all these starfish, but I know that I was able to make a difference for that one." And that's what it's about, my friends. It's about the difference you make. On your toughest day, when you feel like giving up, I want for you to remember my story. On your students' toughest day, when they feel like giving up, I want for you to remember my story. And I hope that you will say the same exact thing that my second grade students used to say about me, and that is, if Mr. Cohen could do it, then so can I. Cheers. Thank you all very much for having me. It's an honor to be here. Have a great school year. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm honored.
I like it.
Mr. Cohen, your contagious spirit of optimism has inspired us to overcome whatever adversity that comes our way.
All of us can make a difference in our world through whatever gifts we have been given.
May each of us leave this place today with a renewed dedication to give our best to each task or assignment.
We do have the power of one person, but we have to take our eyes off ourselves and become an encourager and contributor to our team.
God bless you as you return to your roles in serving, supporting, and encouraging our young people. Ladies and gentlemen, this convocation is adjourned.